Welcome back to Chow Time Pods. Your host, Red. I got a video today from Sugar Tits.
Hi everyone, welcome back to another Sugar Tits video. So Bearing, the kiddo, and myself have just come back from a tropical holiday.
Oh, congrats to you, Sugar, for taking some vacation. Probably not much needed rest. Tell the truth, I could probably use one myself.
Rained most of the time. Awesome.
Aww.
Bloody typical. It reminds me of Carl Pilkington in Idiot Abroad, where they get him to go to a deserted island, and in his head he's picturing like white sands, beautiful turquoise waters, like a Bounty advert.
I was picturing the Bounty advert. They've been conned again, haven't they?
Oh man,
He's pissing it down.
And when he gets there, he's just stuck on this tiny little rocky island where it's pelting down with rain the whole time. Well, that's kind of what happened to us. We went on a half-day cruise to one of the most beautiful beaches in the world, Whitehaven Beach. And on the way there, we learned that if you wanted to go swimming in the ocean, you needed to wear a stinger suit because you might get stung by box jellyfish. Cool.
Might seem like a good idea one day. When it happens, it's shit.
So after putting this very unflattering suit on that makes you look like a giant condom, you got to go for a swim in the water, which didn't feel very tropical and warm. What you could feel, however, was the growing amount of sand firmly lodged in your ass crack, making it very uncomfortable. And in a suit that allowed no...
It is probably the biggest thing why I dislike the beach is sand in my crack.
access to remove that sand. And then about an hour into being stranded on this beach, a storm started coming towards us on the horizon. Luckily, I'd finished building my sand turtle, because by the time they sent the transport boat for us, it was absolutely pissing down with rain. But I shouldn't complain too much, we still had a great time, but now we're back and ready to make videos. And while I was away, this particular headline came up in my news feed and I just couldn't stop laughing. Liberal candidate says women should not serve in Australian Defence Force combat roles amid range of controversial views. And oh, you know this is gonna piss off some Australian feminists, for sure. And I'm here for it.
Really? Like, it makes perfectly logical sense.
Now, it may just be me, but I think since Trump got into power, a lot more male politicians are finding their balls and saying things that would have otherwise got them cancelled or in a shitload of trouble.
A few moments later.
Because Aussie politician Benjamin Britten has come out and told a right-wing podcast Australia's education system has brainwashed its students with Marxist ideology, and in particular takes aim at the Australian Defence Force's equity programs, which encourages women to be recruited into frontline combat positions. Some report...
Frontline combat? What?
Reporters have said that the politician is insinuating that recruiting too many females into the Australian Army is making our Aussie forces look like a bunch of pussies. And with all of those clam pussies...
I can tell you it genuinely does.
...is on the front line, who's going to be afraid of taking the might of the Australian military on? So the Australian federal election is coming up soon, and the leader of what you Americans would call the Republican Party, Mr. Peter Dutton, once endorsed Mr. Benjamin Britten as an outstanding candidate. And of course, people on the left are using this as a means to make the opposition look like misogynist assholes. But was what Mr. Britten said actually controversial? There are a lot of opinions.
I don't think so. Frontline combat? We're talking about support roles. Have at it, ladies. But frontline combat. There's just going to be a lot of graping involved when you're thinking of this. Like, all I can ever think of when I think of frontline combat women is frontline men on the opposite team grabbing these women, torturing them, and destroying them internally.
About women being in the military. Some super feminist types are like, yeah, women should be allowed in the military. Women should be allowed to do whatever the fuck they want.
Whatever, I do what I want.
Women can be in the military. They're just as strong as men. They're just as powerful. You're just holding the women down, dudes. You know, the annoying fuckwit types. Then you've got a lot of people who are just kind of indifferent to this. You know, fence sitting on the subject. Women can be in the military if they want, but maybe they shouldn't be put in roles of direct combat on the front.
Yeah, I'll be in that one. I'm in the middle then, if that's the case. Yeah. Join the military. Just frontline combat?
Front lines, where they have to keep up with the physicality of men, and being weaker and not being able to keep up may endanger those around them.
Female soldiers and officers has not only brought the Australian Army into disrepute, But evidence collected to date has identified a group of men within our ranks who have allegedly produced highly inappropriate material, demeaning women. By now, I assume you know my attitude to this type of conduct. Men, they are encouraged to do so. I have stated categorically many times that women have no place in this army. The army has to be an inclusive organisation. No woman, if that does not suit you, then get out. You may find another employer, but I doubt it. Toughness is built on men within our ranks, not women take a stand against it. No one has ever explained to me how the female soldiers and officers enhances capability or honours the traditions of the Australian Army. I will be ruthless in ridding the army of women, and I need every one of you to support me in achieving this. There is no place for you amongst this band of brothers. It is up to us to make a difference. Women, find something else to do with your life.
And then you've got those saying, hey, if women want equality, then they should be conscripted. Fuck them. Send them to the front lines. There are many...
The whole conscripting women thing I don't agree with. But, I mean, for equality purposes, I'll agree with it. But am I going to vote for that if that came up? Probably not.
Different opinions on the matter, but this politician's opinion has pissed off the feminists. He has claimed diversity and equity quotas, Marxist ideology and woke ideologies have weakened the country's defences, singling out a change in 2013.
I mean, I could tell you now, in the United States, I feel like it's weakened our defences.
Which allowed women to be recruited into the frontline and combat positions. And I kind of agree with him. He says, basically, long story short, if we're to fix our defence force, unfortunately, they're going to need to remove females from combat corps. And this is my favourite fucking bit. Their hips are being destroyed because they can't cope with the carrying of the hip.
Correct. No, it's 100%. Hips and their backs. Again, I know quite a bit of military vets that are women that were in combat. They barely can walk nowadays. Most of the issues that they have is their back and the VA. They're constantly going to the VA about their backs because they were carrying so much load constantly. It wasn't made for them. I guess I'm so adamant about this because I have anecdotal evidence of like my own people that I've met, and I know quite a bit of women that are in the military, and most of them actually agree that women shouldn't be in the military.
Heavy loads and the heavy impacts that's required from doing combat-related jobs.
Come on, Sugar Tits. You know they're not talking about those particular impacts.
Hips. We need to protect women's hips, god damn it. Stupid.
What about the men's hips? You know, men dying from snoo with broken pelvises.
That's women and those weak birthing hips. We need to keep them sacred for the child rearing. Oh, that's going to piss some bitches off.
We are in a position where diversity and equity quotas, Marxist ideology and woke ideologies take precedence over the defence of our nation. Now it's the opposite. We've got the best toys, the best gear, but the personnel is at the worst level it has ever been. That's a direct result of Defence Force recruiting, lowering of standards, in particularly to allow females into combat roles. They said they'd never do it. It'd always be the standard, and women would have to pass the standard. Ever since they said that, they've dropped it because they want a 30% quota of females. If we're going to fix our defence force, unfortunately, they're going to need to remove females from combat corps, and that's not an attack on females. I serve with some of the greatest females in the defence force, tremendous people.
But this is one of the important things he was trying to convey. He said, I knew some of the toughest men I've ever met in my life, absolute nails. War left them a shaking mess, drug addicted, can't go outside the house because they have panic attacks. If war can do that...
I tell you guys about my friend. They gave him 120% disability. That's how effed up this brother is. Again, I could tell you this story, but yeah, he saw all of his platoon mates die. He was the only one, and he was the sergeant, or I'm not sure he was the sergeant or what command he was, but he was the one in command, and he lost all of his platoon. That devastated the man. That man, tell the truth, still not recovered. He's still a little bit off from before the war.
that to them and destroy them, why would you want to send your beautiful women? Oh, it's really gonna piss off the feminists. Your females, the ones that are the backbone of your society. Your society only exists because of women. Why would you want to sacrifice them in war on the altar? You see, if you weren't
Agreed.
a left loony, you'd hear that he was actually praising women and putting them up on this
That you guys are more important, that we don't want to just send you to war and die.
pussy pedestal.
I'm putting the pussy up on a pedestal. Right, that's it.
But what feminists hear is that women are delicate little flowers who need to stay at home, who can't compete with the men, and oh, you're a misogynist fuckwit asshole. Stop mansplaining your shit to us. He also talked about the front line in Ukraine, saying women soldiers were killed because they didn't stand a chance and should never have been there in the first place. They can barely hold up a rifle and they put them on the front line to just be killed, he said. You're throwing away one of the most precious things that you have in your society. So yeah, this is divided opinions in Australia, but I'm just here for the bitches that are gonna get pissed off about it, because it's funny. There is nothing more funny than a uber lefty feminist bitch getting worked up about misogyny. Thanks so much for watching.
Shout out to Sugar Tits. I'm glad you got some vacation now. I'm sure you needed it, and too bad it got rained on. I would have been upset too if my vacation got rained on. But yeah, women in frontline combat? I'm still tripping out on this. Please like, subscribe, comment down below. I really appreciate that. I'll catch you guys next time.